We have a tendency to butter each other up on this podcast.
Right,
you're gonna leave fully buttered if you come on the podcast.
You're gonna be able to flip through a
Bro, I
by the end of this. Just
I should have brought the Butterfinger. It was a Butterfinger that I got you. I did get you a Butterfinger. Yeah, I did. I had extra money, so I went to corner store. I was like, I'm gonna get Dylan a Butterfinger.
Dylan a Butterfinger.
So
don't lay a finger on my Butterfinger. Oh, hi. She flipped over. Hey there. He was just excited. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Broken Host Post. Okay,
that's going in the intro. That's going in the intro.
I hate that. That was terrible. That was
what is this? Honey Bunches of Oats? The Broken Honey Bunches of Oats.
Honey Bunches of Oats. Welcome back to the Hoax Podcast. Apparently, I can't speak. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Broken Yolk Podcast. I'm not the host, but the co-host, Dylan Pearson.
And I'm not the host, but the co-host, Sam Phillips.
Yeah, Sam, how's your day today?
It's okay, you know. I'm feeling really inspired. It's fall break, you know, so I'm trying to get like a ton of stuff done over the break. I have like a creative presentation. I'm trying to get one of my songs like fully recorded, produced, mastered. Yeah, that's about it. But I mean, I have more stuff, but like, yeah.
No, but throughout it all.
That's all I can remember. Yeah.
Okay.
How about you? You good?
I'm sore.
Oh
which
no.
leads into my first question. Do you know when the bicycle was invented?
No.
I'll answer for you. It was invented in 1817 by some British dude.
You looked that up 5 minutes ago, didn't you?
I did. But I just want to say it because I rue the day that it was ever invented. I hate bicycles now.
What happened? Did you are you part of a cycle class or something?
No. So yesterday was leg day, and I was like, okay, cool. So I'm gonna do leg day, and then I had an office appointment. Like I had in like the next town over from Nashville.
Yeah.
And it was a different zip code, so it's 37211 was where the office is. We're 37212. But it was only it said 10 miles away on the map, so I said, I can do that. That's easy.
10 miles is so much.
It turned out to be 20 miles.
Oh, and you did that on bike?
I did it on bike.
How long did that take?
It took an hour and 45 minutes.
So 20 miles there, 20 miles back.
I did not do it back. I got an Uber back.
And you left your bike?
I did leg day, and then I did this riding. I can't.
Was that before or after I saw you cycling back from the UPS store?
That was after. I was cycling.
Yeah, you looked a little out of it.
I was
driving a car and I felt bad. I was gonna pick you up.
It was one of those things where it's like, I don't know if you've ever had it, because working out for me is like, I work out because it's like, okay, I want to work out. I had to get to that appointment, and so it was just the worst thing ever. So it's on the record now. I hate bicycles. They can burn in hell.
Dylan hates bicycles.
Yeah, they're the worst thing ever. Okay, now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce with super excited everything.
Yes.
Abby Murphy.
Abby Murphy.
Give
around
episode.
Our studio audience will clap.
Yeah. Abby Murphy.
Hello.
This
is so exciting. I'm nervous as a professional. It's crazy.
Yeah. So first off, how are you, Abby? How are you doing?
I'm good. I really enjoyed your story.
Thank you.
I'm really sad, but I was laughing a lot back there, as you could tell. I have one question though. Did you just leave the bike?
No,
there?
I had to get an Uber XL. It was expensive.
So you put the bike in there? Wait, was it like one of those electric bikes that we bought?
No, it was my bike. It was a 40-minute drive back from the place that we went to. And I was just...
So you had to have an Uber, and then you had to pull your bike out on campus and do the whole shebang.
And one of the things was, I had to do the whole shebang on campus. And then I was picking up for those of you who have viewed the podcast before, or just know me, I'm going to be Spider-Man at a birthday party today.
Yeah.
So I had to pick up
That's today.
It's today. So
wow.
I had to pick up the costumes and everything.
Man.
And so imagine me walking down the side of the road with a giant garbage bag of balloons, my bike, full of the Spider-Man cap sticking out the front, leather boots for my Spider-Man outfit. It was
oh my gosh.
It was the worst.
Dylan,
so,
you always put yourself in the funniest.
I hate bikes now. No, yeah.
That's not the actual worst nickname he's ever been called, believe it or not.
No, Dill Pickles has been a nickname for my whole life. Okay, so leaving the bikes aside, Abby, I wanted to, on my excursion across Nashville,
Yes.
I came across, so there's a Murphysville down here, and there's a Murphy Street, and then there's Murphys everywhere, and there are Murphyvilles everywhere else.
Do you guys know what Papa Murphy's is?
I
Papa
do.
Murphy's.
Okay.
Edam
I don't like
Murphy's,
it. I like Papa
Ed
John's
B.
better,
Murphy's.
but like Papa
Really?
Murphy's. Yeah.
I like Round Table Pizza. They're in
I
Stockholm.
like. Am I allowed to like shout it out? Like,
Yeah.
are y'all like sponsored or anything? Do I have to?
We'll bleep it out.
censor
Yeah, we'll bleep it out.
I love pizza. Pizza is so good. It's literally like 5 minutes from campus. It's so good. I have buffalo spicy. No. I messed it up. Pickle.
Off the podcast.
It's like
Pickle's
spicy,
so much different.
Spicy pickle chicken
Oh.
pizza.
That's like, bruh.
Listen, don't knock it till you try it. It is so good.
Was that
Spicy
designed in one of
pickle
those
chicken.
games where you make pizza? Wait, so is that like a sit down rest, or like is it frozen pizza? Like what sort of?
It's just like a. It's not delivery. It's just no, it's just like a regular. It's like a mellow mushroom or like a. You know.
Oh, okay, got you.
You
got
sit
you.
down or
Yeah.
you can take it. It doesn't
Right,
really matter.
okay.
But
Wink, wink, mellow mushroom.
it's good.
What?
It's
She said you can take it. Mellow mushroom.
laugh track.
Dylan, you're the funniest man you know.
Wow. I'm proud of myself for that one. No, but I was just wondering, do you know any history of your name? Because I did research on it, but I just want to know if you'd know like any.
Let's see. I know I'm half Irish, half Scottish.
Okay.
So it's one of the two.
What are the?
I had a Irish Uber driver one time, and he was like, "Oh, the Murphys." So it's Irish? Question mark.
It is Irish. Yes.
Dab.
From Northern Ireland.
Irish interest.
And it
That's
is-
all I know.
It is a combination of two Gaelic words, mur and like fee or something like that, and mur meaning sea, and fee or
Oh, like
whatever
mermaid?
meaning- no.
Oh.
And then the other part of it means
So
You're like sad, yeah.
I am a
it
mermaid.
means sea warrior.
Oh.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
You're
Poseidon,
Moana
like
the
vibes.
fish guy. Yeah,
I'm
that
a sea
too.
warrior.
That too.
fish guy. Wait, are you from? Okay, are you
you
from the
Atlantis?
city or from the country?
So I was born near Atlanta,
Yeah.
and I lived there for 7 years. But then I moved to Bowling Green, so like I've lived there.
Oh,
more.
really? I know so many people have lived in Bowling Green. Like my
Really?
uncle lived there, and like my old pastor lived there. It's funny.
Aw,
Yeah.
yeah, I love it. Being here.
It's a college town, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally, the campus is like 5 minutes from my house.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I definitely took it for granted though, because being here, like, when you're there, you're like, nah, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, it's
Yeah.
home. I
Right.
don't really do anything. But being
Yeah.
here, like, I realize how much local stuff there is
Yeah.
there, and I miss it so much. Like, I miss walking into like the local coffee shop and being like, hey, Phil, like,
Hey, Phil.
what's up? And they're like, oh, let me get you the regular.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
Whoa.
yeah.
Ooh,
No,
really?
my only point
I'm
in
saying.
in saying that was like, because if you were from like a place like downtown, like we call you like Downton Abbey, that'd be really fun.
This guy. Someone get this guy an award. That was
Dylan and I
good.
have both cracked like two equally horrible jokes. This.
Oh my God, Lady Penny's.
That's a good one.
No.
Thank you, thank you.
Have you ever heard of,
fantastic.
well, no, you haven't because you don't hear lots of Murphys, but I've also been called Abby Smurfy, like the Smurf.
Nice.
That's all I've got. Or like Abby.
Do you have any
Steele.
laws? Because there is a
Just-
law named
yeah.
after you, or maybe your name like Murphy's Law. Like, do you have any laws?
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. That's
Laugh track.
it's so bad.
I was like,
Landon just pops up in bed every time he.
that's funny.
It's like a
Are
little.
you from the federal government? Because you're a law. I'd like to break
Yeah. Okay.
Not on my feminist podcast. I'm kidding.
Let me just
Okay.
grab the
you.
coffee and take a little sip.
Yeah, wow. Abby, could you share your testimony with us?
All right, so
I'm kidding. Okay. Silly reset. Sorry, that was that's funny. No, but in general, like it's a kind of a 360, but
Yeah.
that's something that I know is very important to you, and your faith is very strong and centered, and you've expressed that you're open to sharing. So I'd love to hear that.
yes, just in like a short little span. First of all, I'm a firm believer that your testimony never stops. And for those that don't know what a testimony is, because I learned what a testimony was my sophomore year, and I'm a freshman in college now, and I've been raised as a Christian my whole life, but I was just never told like what a testimony was. It's basically just like the story of how you met Jesus, how you accepted him into your life, and how you were once lost and then declared that Jesus is the Son of God and that you accept him as your Lord and Savior of your life, and then you are now born again as a Christian. So that is what a testimony is, and mine basically is like a roller coaster. I grew up just in a Christian household, kind of like the label of a Christian, but like I would go to church just to be like, oh, get Panera after, or like, oh, I go to Sunday school, I color some pictures. Like it was never really, anything too deep. And then in 5th grade, which is like really pretty young, but in 5th grade, long story short, began my eating disorder, and I didn't realize that it was an eating disorder until about a year in. And then I was in therapy, and it got to the point where like I almost had to be hospitalized. Like it was pretty tough. And that lasted for about 2 years, and that was like a really big struggle with God, because it was like, I'm going to church and I'm doing all these things, and like you pay me back with this, like you pay me back with hating myself, and I'm just doing everything for you, which is like totally a horrible mindset.
Right.
But, and like looking back on it now, I can't even believe that like I can even say this, but like I really did not like God. Like it was like a hatred, and I can't even fathom believing that like my heart was like that. But when you have an eating disorder, it's not your brain. Like it's literally a mental illness. Like it makes you think differently. And so, so then 7th grade, spring semester, I was playing baseball in PE, which never put me in a sport. I do theater for a reason. Like, no, I run and that's it. Like, I just run.
That's that.
But I was so underweight at the time. And so that mixed with a kid trying to jump over me. I was playing second, and a kid like tries to come to jump over me to get to third. Middle school boys, there's
middle school boys.
And so I'm coming up. I reach down to grab the ball. I come up, and he knocks me in the head, and I get a concussion. And the next thing I remember, I'm in the nurse's office. And I kid you not, I was fine after that. Like I just ate. And like it's the craziest thing, because for so long, like those 2 years was like God can't do anything for me. Like the miracles, like those are just stories. Like those aren't real things. And he was like, well, okay, well, look what just happened with you. Like there's no nerve that you can like hit in your brain to be like,
for sure,
boom, eat again. Or like, boom, love your body. And so I just remember like sitting there with like a burger, and I was just like, wait, what? And it was the craziest thing. So yeah, that's when I really was like, okay, this God that can perform miracles, I worship him, and I am going to like dedicate everything I do for him. And so that was around when I was 13, and then, just going through different phases and ups and downs, and refinding, connections, and going to camps, and falling low and going high, and everything all comes together to create just this roller coaster of a relationship with the Lord that like you can't really put it into words in like an hour podcast. Like I could talk about it forever, but that was like the switch for me was, okay, I really am going to dedicate everything I do for this man, because even if he has to knock sense into me to do it, like he will save you, like a part of his plan. Like he will, and he is powerful, and he's almighty. And that's my testimony.
That's beautiful.
Yay.
I love that.
That's
Thank you.
That's insane. So many parts of that like speak to me in terms of just like, that was like that's crazy that you were that young when that was happening. Like I can't even imagine. And then, I mean, my first thought when you said like had the baseball story in there was like, do you think that it like kind of like brought you so close to like, well, I don't know. Was it a crazy concussion? Was it like bad? Like, was it?
Yeah, I was out of school for like 2.5 months. So it was pretty bad. Now,
so it like really shook up your world and stuff.
I milked it a little bit because of school poverty, so like I could, what I mean?
Yeah.
But
also at the same time, a 7th grader being a small, little girl getting hit in the head.
That's like a big thing. For sure. I mean, because like I've heard stories of like, people who have like like had near death experiences, and then they've like come back from that and just like been a completely changed person just because they've been given that like second chance almost.
Yes.
So that's like like a little bit what it reminded me of, like maybe to like a little lesser of an extent, but like.
Oh, for sure. Well, I mean, even like the concussion wasn't the near death experience, but the eating disorder was. And because you're like slowly killing yourself. I mean, sorry to be blunt, but like you're slowly killing yourself.
That's what it is, for sure, yeah.
Because you're just trying to get smaller and smaller until you disappear. And so that was like the turn. It was almost like the concussion was like the thing that saved me in a way. And it was hard. Like you could see like imprints of my teeth, and I was wearing my glasses, so like it like knocked in, and it was like bruises, and I was like lopsided for like a long time because everything was so swollen. But I wouldn't have traded like my whole 2-year experience for anything, because like now I'm here and I get to help other people. And there have been so many people in my life where like the reason I went, like I know why that happened, and it's not like the Lord gave me that, but he used it.
Yeah.
And like he allowed it because he knows, he has the plan, like he knows. And so, yeah, like it's just crazy. I could talk about it for hours. I could just go on and on.
Yeah, I bet you could, yeah.
You're cool, dude. You're really cool.
Hey, guy.
That's awesome.
Amazing that you had the wherewithal, especially with the point that your relationship was at with God at that time, to be able to say like, well, look at this amazing thing that he's given me and done for me. And so that's something that is always, I don't know, is the fact that at 13 you recognized that, and then you had the wherewithal to dedicate yourself to him and to the practice. Just it truly shows how profound it was for you and how centering it was for you.
Yeah.
And especially the fact that, like, I don't know, it pervades in every, your truth. And that's something that is very cliche to say, but the fact is that you're unapologetic and unabashed to be able to say, no, this is what I am. This is, I want to be able to share this joy and this fantastic thing that I've found in God, and it's truly amazing and inspiring.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, he is the truth.
Yeah.
He is the way, the truth, and the life.
I love that. Yeah.
Like me placing my identity in anything else other than him will cause me to fall. And that's not in a selfish way, but that's in a way of like, I am a messenger. My job here on this earth is to go forth and make disciples. The Bible says, go forth and make disciples of many nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. That is like what the Christian's job is.
I think for me, like when I hear the phrase like my truth, it kind of like tweaks me just a tiny bit, just because it's like, if you say my truth, that means that everybody can have like their own truth. And I think that's like maybe true to an extent, but like I agree with you. It's like Christ is like the truth, right? And so, I let the truth define my life instead of my truth define my life.
It's almost like the truth and like your relationship.
Yeah.
Like we each have a different relationship.
Right,
but it's
exactly. And different like experiences and like different purpose and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. That's cool.
That's good. Wow, this is good.
Look at our Christian podcast.
That's absolutely amazing.
Yes.
No, yeah, it reminds me, I was thinking I was flying here, and I met this man named Charlie.
Oh yeah,
like
Charlie. You've told me this story, yeah.
Have I told you? Yeah. He's a master electrician out in Hawaii, but he was based in the Navy. But it was just a really interesting. I never met this man in my life, and then all of a sudden we were just talking about God, and he was like, no, you need, you're not there yet, and that's okay, but you have the moment, as soon as you find that friendship with God and that relationship, he's your best friend and will always be your best friend. And he will always give you something in this relationship.
That's so cool.
It is up to you to accept that and then work with it and love it. And once you've discovered that, it's your job to continue to preach that truth and then to, others will be attracted to it. It's not the fact that, and that is something, the reason it's so cool to me is because it's consistent with what you guys are saying, is the fact that you're not actively trying to pull people to, I guess what I'm trying to say is you're not trying to actively recruit people. You're trying to spread what's true to you and letting that be the motivation for someone to come and get more invested into their relationship.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think one like misconception is that especially in like the Christian stereotype, I guess, is that like people think like, oh, Christians won't like me if I'm not a Christian. Like that's totally false. Now, there's a difference between like having differing views and differing, I guess like a different mindset. But even when you have a different mindset, that doesn't mean that you don't still genuinely love the person. Like I can have different views than you, or think differently than you, or like worship a different God. But that doesn't change anything about the way that I love you and how I will treat you.
Exactly.
Like no matter what, like that comes before anything. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Right.
And I think that when you go and you want to share your beliefs with someone, it's not out of like I know more than you do and I'm better than you and that. It's in a way of like, I believe that this is how you have eternal life, and I love you so much that I want to share that with you because I want to live with you forever.
Right, yeah.
And I think that's something that I wish more people knew, is that like there are so many friends that I have, some of my best friends, like Muslim, Buddhists, like we have different gods. And I will openly, like I will never sugarcoat anything that I believe. Yeah. But they know that I love them, and they know that I won't treat them any differently. Yeah, that's amazing. For, you know, how they believe and how I believe.
Right. I think that tacked onto the misconception that Christians will treat you differently if you're non-Christian, I think it's also that like they assume that we'll try to convert them more than other people. Like, oh, you're doing this like wrong thing. Like we want to change that. No, that's not true either, because, you know, I mean, I'm a firm believer that sin is just the symptoms of the real problem, right? And the real problem is like lack of relationship with God. So I'm not going to treat you any differently in the sense where it's like, I'm not going to try to like sit down and convert you more than I would any other person. And it's not even conversion. It's just like, yeah, I just want to share in the gift of like having a relationship with Christ. And then whatever happens after that in your life will follow, like, you know, whether it's, you know, certain things like not happening anymore. And that's like up to you and God. Like, that's not my place. Like, I just think that the misconceptions that we'll focus on like the sin in their life, or like what they think that we think is sin, where like that's not the case at all, you know?
Well, and also Christian sin every day, and all sin is the same.
All sin is the
which
same.
is something really hard to wrap your mind around when you have like a mindset of the world. It's like, you know, different, like stealing a candy bar is different than robbing a bank. You know what I mean? But like all sin is the same.
It separates you from God.
And so who am I to be like, oh, well, this person's doing this. Okay, well, I'm gossiping.
Right.
You know, and that's a sin.
Right.
So as long as you stay in your lane of like bettering yourself while spreading the gospel, I think that's just... And I mean, I don't know. I'm 19 years old and I don't know everything, and I'm still figuring things out all the time. But where I am right now, that's the heart and the mindset.
I think like non-Christians like also will see that. They'll see that you like also sin, and they'll like, chances are if you focus on that with them, it's going to push them away, and you're not going to have the chance to speak into their life anymore as like somebody who loves them. Right. And so I just think like, you know, that should not, you know, I think that if it's like two Christians together, and like, you know, the Bible scripture says, you know, if you see somebody that's like kind of falling away, like help them out of love.
Oh yeah.
You know, but like I don't think there's, you know, Christians and non-Christians have any place like to do that. Yeah. If that makes any sense.
No, I get what you're saying. I think also you can also lead by example. I think a lot of people think it's always just like you have to be a preacher and go out and speak to crowds, and I mean, just as simple as holding the door open for someone and being like, yeah, God bless. Right. You know, just the little actions and like how you represent yourself. Like, it's very important to me, especially for younger children. And I've talked to Dylan about this a little bit, but like the way that I very much so connect with children, in the way that I represent myself on social media, especially like I want children to see that like, oh, like she's really happy with her life and she doesn't have to go out and like, you know, do XYZ things. 100%. And like, wow, and she's a Christian. Like, I want to know what that's about. Right. Like, even just representing yourself in that way is so beneficial, and sometimes even more impactful than words. Yeah. So
that's good.
That's the mic drop moment.
Well,
the thesis.
I mean, I'm always interested to understand is, you know, how do you connect to your faith through your performing, and how do those two coincide? Especially because within musical theater, and this is kind of a two-part question, so it's going to be a lot to unpack, but, you know, within musical theater, there isn't always something that is so overtly, you know, necessarily spreading the word of God. And so, like, how does your faith connect with your performing? How do you deal with that kind of dichotomy of it?
Yeah, that's a very deep question with lots of different avenues we can go with. Yeah. I think two different kind of like themes come to mind when you ask that question. And the first one is more personal, and it's more of like it's a struggle with like the body image thing, because you're constantly being looked at, and like you really are judged, might not be the right word, but like judged for who you are. I mean, you go into an audition and they're like, okay, does this person fit this mold of a character or an idea that we have? It's starting to
change more and more, but right now it's still what type are you?
Right.
People are still told you're too heavy for an ingenue.
My brother has a theater account on Instagram where he like advertises himself for like productions, and in the bio it's like 6 foot, blonde hair, blue eyes, like, and it's like this is like low key, like it's kind of dark in my heart, like it's like, what do you?
Well, because like, I mean,
it seems weird.
I mean, in the SpongeBob the musical, I just think that one's the best.
Oh my gosh, my high school just announced that they're doing such a musical.
That's actually really fun.
I know.
But it's like, better than Shrek the musical. I don't know.
Oh, I think it's overdone. I think it's a great musical, but a lot of people do it, so it's just kind of like lost.
I really, honestly, I'm a Brian Darcy James stan, so Shrek is where my heart is at. I'm gonna watch that today.
I love it. Sutton Foster.
Sutton Foster. Oh.
That's my girl.
I've never watched Shrek.
But I mean, if you look at how they cast
the movie,
he's never watched the movie Shrek.
What?
I know.
Or any of the movies.
Any of them. Any of them.
He would move.
Yeah.
I haven't watched. Yeah, he
hasn't seen any classics.
The constant thing with Landon, we can include this is funny, but the constant thing with Landon is that he'll ask me like, "Have you seen this?" And I'm always like, "No." Have you seen Rocky? No. Have you seen like anything like what are some of the other ones?
He hasn't seen Back to the Future.
I haven't seen Back.
It's okay. That one's okay.
Fassbender in a generation-defining role.
I have not seen Back to the Future.
I've seen Stranger Things.
What are you guys doing the rest of break? Because we're freaking watching it. Have you seen?
Hey, but we're having movie night tonight.
Movie night tonight.
Yeah.
Oh wait, sorry, keep going up. Have you watched Star Wars?
Yes.
Okay. No, I've seen 2 of them.
Okay, you can't say anything, bro.
The last 2.
The last 2, as in the ones that they've put out recently that are bad.
I have 2 Chewbacca shirts.
Have you seen Spaceballs?
No.
I'm kidding.
I was like, what is
Spaceballs
this?
is more obscure, but you haven't. Have you seen the original trilogy? There's sequel prequels. Any of the? Abby.
Have you seen the Lord of the Rings
and Hobbit?
Okay. Yeah, me too.
Because I was Gollum.
Yeah.
In a
that leads us right back into where we were talking about.
I was Gollum. Which I was gonna
how
say,
did that make you feel, bro?
Totally not body image.
Jesus is my Lord.
Oh, yeah. That one was that was like one of the most fun roles I've ever done in my life.
Actually, wait. We have to. Okay, Landon, come on the set for 2 seconds.
Come on the set.
Yeah.
Landon can do the best Gollum impression. Do some of his lines.
Say it in the mic. Say it in the mic.
Say it in the microphone.
Yeah. Well.
Whoa, that sucked.
This is the best podcast ever. Okay.
Wait, are you?
No, this mic.
So
This
freaking
mic.
awkward.
This is happening.
Okay.
Mark, is this hell? Is this your hell? Is this the 7th layer of hell for you, Mark?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Wait.
Breathes in Gollum. That's funny.
No. Oh my god. Well, keep it going.
You got it.
Keep it going.
Stupid fat hobbitses. But that's me when I had to fly. Holy frick.
Andy Serkis.
That
How are
was good.
you?
Wow.
Andy Serkis is your roommate?
it was the
That's
middle
impressive.
breath for me. It was like
It was breathing in Gollum. He's like,
Landon.
that was good.
this
my
podcast is amazing, bro.
That was really good.
Wait, okay, but I just have you seen Die Hard? Pulp Fiction?
No.
Have you
Still
seen?
tangent, bro. Okay.
Have you seen? Oh, it's escaping me.
I haven't seen Die Hard.
I've seen The Blind Side.
With Sandra Bullock.
Yes.
Sandra.
Have you not seen The Blind Side?
No.
I love that movie.
What's it about?
It's a Jesus movie.
Oh,
Honestly,
I'm not a big fan because some of them are really cheesy
Some of them
and
are
This is
really well
This
bad
is
done.
true. I feel that way about rom-coms. I'm not
You
gonna
know
lie, a lot of
the
them are
Christian
very
football
cheesy.
Fireproof or whatever?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that? That's like the most cheesy Christian movie ever.
No, I
Have you heard of that? Yeah, Landon's heard of it.
Have you heard of Pure Flix? That's
No.
like a movie company that produces a lot of very.
I've heard of
cheesy-
VidAngel though.
They did. Excuse me. Hi. They did God's Not Dead. That movie.
Oh.
I've never seen God's Not Dead.
It's
Me either.
It's cheese on top of cheese. It's just I think that is part of the it's very difficult because I think that they are, as much as they are trying to produce a very positive message and trying to like bring people to the message of Christ, I do think it's a negative portrayal of Christians.
Yeah.
Because the atheists are the bad guys. People who don't believe in God are the people who everyone else is against. It's the Christians against the world. And it's this, it's preaching, praise to God, but they have action movies where it's this Christian fighting against the, the hordes who are not Christians, the heathenistic hordes.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those things where I feel like there's a fine line between, giving the message of Christ its due course, and then, just representing a bad image of Christians, because no matter how good it is, if you aren't able to produce that, message of love, and, no matter who you are, God is going to take you in, the church is going to take you in, a Christian is going to take you in, and make that very apparent and clear, then I think you're missing the message and the point of, like, trying to spread the truth of Jesus.
Yeah.
That's on me. I'm just a dumb 20-year-old, but that's
Thanks,
what I
Dylan.
think.
No, I think also, like, especially in movies, it's just very hard. I feel like a lot of times with movies, it makes it seem like your relationship with God has to be like a huge, like, wow, this just crazy thing happened and boom. But like more times than not, I would say it's just a very slow, gradual,
No, it is
like
for sure
thing.
No, and it's like this because you don't. I don't know. I feel like within movies, I mean, almost everything is the big. That's why in the romantic movies, you have the violins swell and the bass is coming. It's raining and they're kissing.
It's all made for
amazing. And it's not like that. That's not how That's. I mean, I don't know about you guys. That's not how most of my kisses go. Usually, it's a little bit floundering.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not.
That's hard to believe,
these lips are not great. A little bit unexperienced. Sam would know. But
Yeah.
But I think it's just so difficult to be able to portray, because a movie is a very straightforward medium. Yeah, sorry. The amount of nuance that can be taken within storytelling of movies, it's very difficult because Christianity and belief in God is a very vague topic. Because as you've said, it changes with each person, the relationship. And while the truth might not change, portraying one person's journey and relationship to it, and then the, how much this means to this person and how important it was, it's very difficult. That type of nuance is hard to do in a 90-minute, commercial length film.
I don't think that any film production accurately represents any concept perfectly because, even with love, like, they give the unrealistic expectation of, like, oh, together forever, like, it's love at first sight, which is, like, I've never really believed.
Sorry. Musical kids.
Yeah. I only know that from TikTok, so that's how removed I am. No, like, love at first sight. Like, I've never believed in that concept, but that's such like a thing at like in production, and then like of, So I mean, Christianity is just the next thing to be misrepresented in film and production. It just hits extra close to home because that's who we are.
That kind of like plays into the other avenue I was gonna go.
Yeah, the two avenues.
So yeah, the first one was more of like a personal, like how I present myself, and then the other one was like when you are given a show that at the surface has like no Christianly ties or like faith-based ties to it. What is the purpose? Because like in everything I do, I'm going to do it for the Lord.
Yeah.
Like whether that's eating breakfast or working
I
out,
love that.
which is a huge
I'm gonna eat these pancakes for Jesus.
Each Cheerio will be a new
a new
yeah,
testament.
for me it's Honey Bunch of Oats, but yeah.
yes. So yeah, I think in personal experiences, like you just have to find that avenues where you can. So like every time I bow, I will point to the Lord before I bow.
Yeah.
Or like when I go up for an audition, or like we have to perform in like a seminar or something, I will constantly pray before and praise before, during, after. I like to imagine Jesus at the back of the room. Like, it sounds silly, but it's I'm not performing for the people that are watching.
Yeah.
I am performing for the Lord because he's given me... Is that for me?
Landon was clapping in the back.
Oh, he's clapping for
ladies and
himself in the
gentlemen.
mirror.
I am performing for the Lord because he gave me this voice and he gave me this talent, and just as easily as he gave it to me, it can also be taken away.
Yes.
And if I place the identity in the talent rather than the Lord who gave me that way of like being able to connect with people, then my priorities are off. And I'm strong enough to say it in the area that I'm most passionate about, because for so long with like exercising and eating, that's like how I kind of figured out that like, oh, so things that like can be used for good, you can overdo it and then it can be used for bad. So like the moment that I lose or the moment that I'm not humble about like talents, or if I start comparing myself with other people, like the moment I stop and I have to say, okay, like let's realign, let's figure this out and start over.
And that's very apparent in your performing, because when I've seen you perform, you're very still before and you're very still afterwards. Like, you walk up there with purpose, you perform with purpose, and you're so intentional about what you do, and you have a confidence about you. And it's really cool to learn where that confidence comes from, which is it's something that that does set you apart as a performer. But it's interesting to hear the way that it's for you, the subtle ways that you continue to keep Christ in your performing, because it is, when you present it, you're presenting two different people. I mean, you don't go to a show and assume, oh, that person's a deeply faith-based person. And so, do you ever wish that through your performance it could be very apparent that you're even though it is, when you get to know you, but if
like
I
when
were
you're
to see
on the
you,
stage,
if I were to see you in a national
Right.
tour and I didn't know who you were, or on a Broadway show when you're super famous, and I'm like, oh, she's just Abby Murphy and she's performing. She did.
Well, then they go watch this podcast and then
that's what I was gonna say. It's like, that's a very public thing, and a lot of times, like, you'll go like stalk the person on Instagram, or you're gonna look them up and see like what they do, and like for me, that's why I post long scripturally things on Instagram. Like that's why I come on here, and I'm so happy to be able to talk about the Lord, like with things like this. Like, I want to put out in every way possible that like this is what I do, and so I think that's just one way of like connecting. Like, it's like when you make friendships, like you meet people and you discover their interests,
right?
You know, like when I come up to you, I'm not going to be like, hi, I'm a Christian and let me tell you about Jesus and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, but it's like, hey, I'm Abby. And it's like, oh, wow. Like she, exhibits whatever trait that I would like to spend time with or whatever.
I think that God like kind of like lets it shine through almost. Like you can be you can have your personality like, and not even say a word about faith or religion, like when you first meet somebody, and they can like instantly know like something's different about you. And I think that's the specialness of like having the Holy Spirit inside of you. I'd love to hear you talk about just a little bit, like, how do you plan on, and how have you like stayed so humble when, like, I agree with you that like God has given us our talents and that they can easily be taken away. I mean, Samson, bro, like, but no, like, I'd love to hear you talk about, like, because like the world, they're constantly telling you, oh, you're the best, like social media is all about like likes, like affirmation, and they're telling you like you are so good at like what you do, and it's no mention of God at all, and it's so easy to like just listen to that instead of remember it, like keeping the voice in your mind of like, oh, like I was given this, like this is not my own doing but God's. Like how do you plan on like staying like humble like that? Because I'd love to hear about that, because I while I perform on like a different stage than you, I still like
it's in everyone,
right? I still see problems with that in the future, like possibly happening, like just like temptation, like because the temptation's there.
Oh yeah,
it sounds really, I mean, because what you're, but like the way that it's almost like if you present yourself as a Christian and then you build yourself in the public view off of that, the way that Christianity can become your brand. And, it's the separation of your, the fact that you build a brand to be commercially viable. And so having that separation between brand and self, is that kind of what you're getting at?
So what I would say prayer is powerful.
Yeah.
And that is not something that I struggle a lot with prayer, just keeping my mind in one place. I don't know anything about the Enneagram, but I've been told I'm a 7, and I think that plays into it.
That's awesome. You're a 7. You fit that. Yeah.
I don't know what it means,
I
but
don't know what it means.
anyways, that's another story. But if you want to hear about the Enneagram, you just like this podcast, and maybe I can
maybe
come
Dylan
back.
and I will do a solo episode on Enneagrams. That'd be fun.
But yeah, so I think prayer is very powerful, and
Yeah.
I prayed that I would enjoy praying. And I started that prayer not wanting to pray it. You know what I mean? Like,
I pray that I would enjoy praying about wanting to pray, bro.
And,
That's me.
and you have to like start somewhere, and prayer is powerful because like praying is the first thing that I do every morning. I write out my prayers.
Yeah.
That
Me
really
too.
helps.
Yeah, I just started. Yeah.
Yes, I write out my prayers a lot, and I think that kind of helps. And so I constantly pray to be humble. And that doesn't, like, I'm gonna be very honest, like, I keep thoughts in my head, but like I'm not perfect, and a lot of times I'll be like, oh wow, like I felt really good about that.
That million
like,
views on
myself.
TikTok. Let's
yes,
go.
that million views on TikTok.
Right.
But then I'm like, girl, hold up.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? And I think the other thing, prayer is powerful, and I think when you realize the world is not eternal and that heaven is, that helps so much with like why I do what I do and the way that I feel about it. Like if I have a good performance, cool, so what? How is it benefiting the kingdom? If I have a bad performance, cool, so what? How is it benefiting the kingdom? You know what I mean? And so whenever I think about like performing in that way, it totally shifts it, and it's just like, I'm doing this for Jesus. I don't care what I sound like. I don't care how I do it. If I'm enjoying myself and I'm able to spread the good news, it's gonna be fulfilling. And like, if Jesus has other plans for me, I'll go with it. You know, like that's really all there is to it. And I can say that confidently now, but it wasn't always like that for a long time, and I'll still struggle with it all the time. But
and that's just our human nature, like shining through, like, you know, even we could get like so close with God, and just like we'll still mess up and stuff like in that area. And that's one of the easiest, because like I feel like as humans, one of the things that like God has hardwired us, like hardwired into us rather, and that has become kind of like imperfect, is just like our need for approval and our need for attention.
Oh my gosh.
And I
social
think,
media.
Right. Social media, it plays so much, like, right. And I totally, like, I feel you on a reel, like, because when my Instagram reel was like, so I posted a song that I wrote on Instagram Reels, and I told the story behind the song, and it got like 30K views in a day. And my serotonin, like, my dopamine was like, just, what is it, serotonin?
Serotonin, dopamine.
Is that women?
Feel good chemicals in
Yeah,
your brain.
but like it was going skyrocket, and
good.
I was like, oh, like I was kind of full of myself for that whole day, and and I mean, I think that's natural, but like I'm not proud of that feeling, you know.
That says a lot that you're able to say that though. Like that's
right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess, but just I don't know. It's just so, I know for me personally, and I know people struggle with this on different levels, but for me, I know that's going to be a big part of like a big struggle for me in the future, because my whole brand and my whole, like, you know, vision for my future is like wanting, like, this sounds cliche, but wanting fans, because like obviously I'm going to put music out. Why would I put music out if I didn't want people to listen to it? It's what I do with that. After that. So like, you know, I fully believe in myself, like giving all the glory to God. And then, you know, I love what you were saying earlier about like the life outside of the theater. So it's like you're making your Instagram account, like, you know, we have the thing on this podcast where we bring up Justin Bieber every episode. And so I'm gonna bring him up, for example.
No, he really has had a breakthrough too.
He
though.
has. And so if you hear his songs on the radio, it's like, you know, stereotypical pop. It's like not necessarily like, you're not going to necessarily hear Jesus in every one of the songs. Like, I get my peaches out in California or whatever. Like, you know. California? Okay. Or weed from California. Whatever. But anyways, but then you go to his Instagram account, because like you're stalking him. Like you said, you'll stalk somebody. And then you see like posts like with Bible verses like all over it, and just like, you know, he posts on his story just like inspiring messages, like just like pointing back to Jesus. And I love that, and that's what I aspire to do with my music. So like draw people in, and then just like set the hook, you know, like
you
fishers
now,
of
yeah.
men, like
Yeah.
low key.
Well, and the fact, I mean, it's very, I think it's a interesting relationship to have with people who are your fans and
Yeah.
who will be your fans, because I think a lot of people can look at that and see and say that that's almost imposing a belief on it, but because it is your creation, you know, since you're posting on your
Yeah.
account and everything like that, it's the, I just think, I think it's
Mhm.
very difficult because the way you portray yourself, no matter how effective it is not the way you're always going to be perceived.
Yeah.
And that is unfortunate.
Hence cancel culture, hence everything like it, you know, hence all the bad things that in this world where we dismiss people just based on one thing they
Yes.
say.
Yes.
You know, I hate it so much. And I mean, that's another, you know, coming up topic for Dylan and I's solo episode.
Well,
But
I mean, Brene Brown is, I'm certain a lot of people out there just snap
Yeah.
because she's amazing. I love Brene Brown.
I don't know who that is.
She's this, well, I can't really tell you, but she's this psychologist who has a lot of, or I forget what she is, but she has a podcast.
She has a podcast.
And she has a podcast on kind of human emotions and understanding, you know, kind of our psychology a little bit better, and also understanding the world around us a bit better. Definitely, I'm not representing her properly. Go look her up. Go double check her out. She's amazing.
Yeah.
But she has this podcast on shame.
Mm.
And there is a really powerful moment where she says, you know, whenever I, you know, if I make a Twitter post and it turns out that she made a Twitter post about something being her spirit animal.
Yeah.
And then people commented on that and said, well, you don't realize that maybe that is, you know, appropriating a part of culture, a part of Native American culture that is, you know, it's not necessarily something of your own. And it's kind of, you know, very offensive to perpetrate that stereotype.
Yep.
She's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. She, you know, re-edited the tweet, but continued to keep the post on there of, you know, the original post and then the changed post and everything. She tried to do as right as she could, but she said, in that moment, I was really fearful, angered, kind of scared, you know, defensive.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the best things that she could do is take a moment, calm down, and just say, I'm not here to be right. I'm here to do right.
Right.
I'm not here to, you know, I'm not always going to get it right. It's what I do from here that is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And
I'm not
how
here to
I-
please
how I-
people. I'm here to love
Yeah.
people.
Yes. Yeah. I think the fan thing plays into that. I think like we forget Jesus is our biggest fan.
Jesus!
Like he is our biggest fan.
Brings me
and-
back to my first grade like T-shirts that I had. That my mom got for me. It's like
Yes.
Jesus is my number one fan.
Jesus is my number one fan.
Alongside with
Can we
my
get
I'm an
shirts like that?
unsocialized
Yes,
homeschooler.
Jesus is my number one fan. Oh my gosh, I would wear it every day.
Every day.
Literally every day. But I think it's like important to note that like fans, whether any of us, all of us are gonna get
Yeah.
famous. Let's just say it now. We're all gonna be famous
Especially
and
this guy. Wait,
whatever.
I'm kidding.
These guys, are you kidding me? You guys need to see these guys perform.
Go look at my TikTok. Anyways,
We'll link it. It's in the description below, guys. Check it out.
Yes.
But you know, everyone, me, you guys, like we're
Yeah.
all imperfect,
Right.
and we all
Thanks, Abby. No, I'm
and-
kidding.
Great.
and we all you know, there is different views and people
Yeah.
can switch on you, but like the one fan that never will is
Christ.
Jesus,
Yeah.
and he is your foundation
Because he
and
knows
he's
the
your
heart.
rock.
The other people see like what, you know, their perceptions of like your Twitter post or like something that you said 10 years ago. But Jesus, like he sees the heart, and that's what really matters.
Well, yeah, it says in the Bible that man views from the outward
Right.
appearance,
Exactly.
but Jesus looks
Jesus
from
was
the heart.
talking about 2020, guys. Let's be real.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, it's a very honestly for me, it's a kind of a scary thing because I'm definitely not as well versed in my faith as you guys are, and I'm not as deep in it. And you know, obviously our testimonies are ongoing, but I don't think I've truly experienced the full potential of my testimony yet. But it's something that I'm starting to deal with more, which is the fact that you know, God and Christ are always there. You know, they can see what I'm thinking. They can hear my inner, you know, thoughts and truth, and just
They give me
realizing.
chills. That's
and-
so good, Dylan.
But it's just so. It's like it's one of those things where, like I catch myself all the time. If somebody does something that just gets on my nerves, like they don't
Yeah.
hold the door open for me, like really, guy, you couldn't have just held the door open.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then you know the shame.
It's in the
and
car
kinda-
for me.
it's-
I'm like, okay,
Okay, cool.
that's
And
enough.
the shame that comes along with that was like I didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
He didn't hear that, or
Yeah.
she didn't hear that, but like I didn't need to diss them in that way.
Yeah.
And the fact that what scares me even more is the fact that you know God will still love me after something like that, and that Christ will still be there for me after something like that.
We're not supposed to understand it. Is the crazy thing.
We won't understand it. Chances are till heaven. So
Oh my gosh.
Hey, as a
amazing.
brother, I just want to say, like, I understand the feeling of fear, but like, I think that you shouldn't compare yourself to other people, and then take fear out of that, because like you said, your testimony is still ongoing, and that's amazing that you're able to recognize that, you know. And I cannot wait personally, because I plan on being in your life forever, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Like whether you want it or not.
This is such a good moment. I'm so excited.
I want you to know that, like, I'm so excited to see that moment when you are able to say, this is when, I won't say it like that, but this is when my testimony, I was gonna say climaxed, but maybe I should say this is the high point. This is the high point of my testimony, and I can't wait to be like there when that happens. And so yeah, you shouldn't feel shame. You shouldn't feel fear out of that. I think you've done an amazing job at surrounding yourself with people that can help you grow in that. And you know, I just want to say that, like, since I've came to Belmont, like, you may say, like, you know, I'm more along in my testimony than you. Like, you've helped me grow in my faith.
Oh yeah. I can say the same.
Really?
Yes.
I can't tell you how much that
100%.
Like,
yeah,
as the
no.
great rappers of today say, no cap. I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sam Phillips, the great rapper of that day.
Hey, I'm kidding.
I'm nice like spicy.
We'll show Abby that one later. But
Awesome.
awesome.
No,
awesome.
yeah, it's the I can't tell you what you guys mean to me and what you guys do, and
Thank you.
this is a bit of a cheesy moment. I was about to say this is definitely it feels like a move me moment. No, it does, you know.
The butter
hear
is
the-
being
the
buttered.
butter-
I know. I was like, we were just saying all this stuff about movies.
Yeah.
I hear the soundtrack in the head. No. Yeah, but it's just it's just an amazing thing that I don't know, just the fact that you guys have a very similar message in that is, at least I'm experiencing, that's very true right now, which is, you know, the truth that is pervade throughout the you know, Christianity, and that faith is the same and steadfast, but my relationship is different than yours, and and the way that evolves is different, and how exciting that is to be able to
It's so exciting.
have that.
Think how boring it would be if all of our relationships with God was like the same, and like,
Well, that's why he gave us the freedom to
Right.
be able to choose to follow
Exactly.
him. You know.
and chances are somebody's gonna have a path that was not like, you know, Abby's, or it wasn't like mine, and that was similar to yours, and that you're gonna be able to help them through that because you've gone through a similar path, and that's why that's the beauty of just the different testimonies, you know.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
Dang. Amen.
Amen.
So
Maybe.
good.
Well, Abby, I think that is our time for today.
Already?
I flew
Wow.
by.
That was
It was
fast.
really fast.
Oh my
56
goodness.
minutes.
50. Well, I gave us a
Wow.
little bit extra time because we flubbed around in the middle a little bit.
Yeah, but that was the best part.
That was the best part.
Yeah.
Best part. And the best part. Either way.
Now we
Abby,
have to watch Shrek.
Now we have to watch Shrek and
Shrek.
Back to
Yes.
the Future
And Back to the
Rocky,
Future.
Yep.
And yeah, of course I've seen them all. Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? Landon's in the background, worried that I haven't seen. Yeah, no, I've seen. I had no life. I still have no life.
Kudos to Landon
so
for
I
getting
definitely-
dressed, showering, and everything without
That was
making a single
intense.
Shout
sound.
out to
And he's holding his Bible.
and he's holding his Bible.
Let's go.
Instagram handle for Landon and
Yeah,
the
pop
background
tag.
guest
You know, I'm
of
kidding.
this, the unspoken guest of this podcast.
Unspoken.
Yes.
I mean, they'll definitely see his
Yeah.
Gollum bit. That's
Landon
definitely going in
Wells.
there. We are 100% putting the Gollum in there.
Yes.
Oh, 100%.
That was
We'll
really
say
good.
we'll say
amazing.
episode 6 featuring Abby Murphy.
And
parentheses,
Gollum.
and Gollum.
And Gollum.
Let's do that.
Yeah,
Gollum.
we will.
That was amazing.
That's funny.
Wow. I hope. Now I want him to record messages, and it's going to be like my phone ringtone. Okay,
Hey,
that's
guys.
happening.
Yeah.
You have a message
Dylan
from
can't
Sam.
come to the phone right now. I hate him.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Is that your? Can you do your Gollum impression?
I know I was in 8th grade. I can't even.
Pull it up. Pull it up.
What should I say?
Back.
What do I say?
Thank you for watching the Broken Union.
Subscribe. Like it. Let's say like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
I can't do it as good as you.
That's okay.
You got it.
It's okay.
Jesus is in the back corner.
Thank you for watching.
I I was like just a little bit. It was so long ago. Oh my gosh. It's
That was like
crazy.
European.
I'm gonna have to
zone.
show you. I have a picture. They put me in like a full-on like gray full body suit.
Really?
Oh my God.
In a diaper. A diaper. It was the best role.
Wait,
ever.
how old were you when this happened?
I was 13. It was the first show after my concussion.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty.
No,
fantastic.
second. The first
That's
one was
crazy.
Sweeney Todd.
Wait, did
but
you
both
have like?
very
Did
dark.
they give you like a bald
very
cap?
dark.
A bald cap.
Oh
too
yeah,
and
it was
stuff?
a bald cap, and then they pulled like pieces of hair
Yeah.
through it, and I had these long like rubber fingers, and I crawled around. It was so fun.
I just okay.
Wow.
I know
It was
it's
so
not.
fun.
I know it's like a loincloth diaper, but I just imagine you climbing in a Huggies.
Oh my god.
They're like, we haven't
No,
potty
literally.
trained our golem yet.
Dylan.
We're still figuring
Literally.
that
That's
part
why I
out,
was like,
but
how old were
She has a
you?
great accent. She has a great accent. But
Oh,
she was a
man.
mistake.
Well,
No,
the hard part was like, and I know we have to end, but like the hard part was
No, this is good.
people would see me and they would be like, "Oh, you played Gollum," and I'd be like,
No, I didn't.
"Why do you recognize me?"
Oh yeah, no. Maybe
Because I was full face.
maybe it was like
literally.
audio or something. Maybe they heard your voice coming through or something.
Well, but the voice
Well,
wasn't
the
my
voice is
voice.
different.
It's okay.
Everything.
It's okay. And then I was like, "Let me tell you about Jesus."
Yeah, there you go. There you
Could you
go. There you
imagine
go.
if that was like if you were on Broadway or anything like that, and that
Oh
was
my
the role
gosh.
that people they were like, you've done all the. Landon,
Let there be light.
Let there be light.
That was
Jesus,
so bad,
That was,
bro.
that was Jesus in the corner saying, "Abby, you did a great job."
Thank
And
you.
it's going-
Bro, the viewers are gonna think Jesus. Wait! I have an idea. Let's just
Okay.
end it right when the light turns on. They'll think Jesus came back,
Jesus came back.
and Jesus he didn't take them. Sorry. That
Oh
was
my
bad.
gosh. Oh my
God,
gosh.
Oh dear goodness.
Okay, we actually
The lighting.
have to end. Okay, stop.
All right, cool. Well,
Theater.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Abby, for coming
Thank
on.
you
This
guys
has
for
been a
having me. This was
fantastic episode.
awesome.
Yeah.
This
You're
was
an amazing
awesome.
guest, and I just appreciate your truth and your the love and the person that you are, and please don't change.
Well, thank you.
change everyone's
Well,
life
it's
and make
not me.
everything
It's all
better.
him. All glory to him. He's definitely
Yeah,
in
amen.
this room, in this dorm room right
Hello.
now, or
Yeah,
in the
there's,
studio.
there's
Is that
technically
what we call
5
it?
people in
The
this room
studio.
right now.
Yes.
2 people are off camera. Landon and God.
Thank God.
Just chilling in the
Well,
corner.
I guess you could say Father,
Yeah.
Son, and Holy Spirit, and that's just like that's a party, man.
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's
That's
party.
true.
Wow. I
Yes.
didn't bring enough drinks. Okay.
Coffee, hazelnut coffee for everyone.
Hazelnut coffee.
By the way, 10 out of 10.
Okay, good.
11
Yeah,
out
it's
of
my
10.
favorite.
God, you want a drink? You want a little,
A little sip.
a little sippy sip? Okay. Thank you so much for viewing this
Yes.
episode, ladies and gentlemen. Follow Abby Murphy. Make her TikTok famous again.
TikTok.
You know,
Abs
yes,
of Steel.
send
1,
her-
2, 3, 4,
We'll
5,
link all her
6.
Abs of
socials
Steel.
in the below per usual.
Yes.
Thank
tons
you.
of love. Tons of love. Thank you so
you.
much for viewing. We'll see
Have
you
the best
next
week.
time.
If you watch the whole thing, type chamomile in the comments.
Yeah.
Chamomile.
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 All right, we're done.